All right, Z06 family. Hey, I'm excited today. I want to talk to you about some products we've been working on for about 6 months. It's been a lot of effort on our part and a lot of expense, but I hope you appreciate it because the goal here is affordability. I am not looking to retire off of the Corvette Z06 owners. That's not the objective. We are a much larger company in a lot of the import sector, but we have been investing in the domestic platform because I own a C806 and I own the company and I love the car. So I wanted to make some cool, affordable parts for it. Obviously, one of the major expenses on this platform are the factory brakes. They're very expensive. And so I decided to take a look at the brakes and figure out how we could make them more cost effective, but while also making them more cost effective, improve some of the engineering. And I'll show you what I mean by that as we go throughout the video. So right off the top, let's take a look at let's start with the pads. Let's start with the pads before we get to the rotors, and we'll start there. So, okay, so your factory pads, these are off of my car. We actually just pulled these off minutes ago. Let's take a look. Bennett, if you want to come forward real quick, I'm going to show them this. So these are a GG rated friction. That shows the cold and the hot friction. It corresponds to a friction coefficient range, and a GG pad is a class-leading pad. I mean, this is a track level pad. And Brembo's GG friction, they supply to a lot of other OE companies. So BMW uses it and many others. It's a very good friction. The only knock on this pad is its dust output. It is as you can see, just barely grabbing it, it is a very high dust output pad, and it wears fairly quickly. So dust is wear. So if you're seeing a lot of dust, you're wearing through the pad. And this particular pad friction is a very, very, very high dust output pad. So also it's prone to get a little bit of noise as they wear. So yeah, great for the track though. It's really good for the track, and it's great at ultra low temperatures, especially below freezing. This particular friction works really, really well. So if you live up in, say, like Canada, or maybe even some of the northern climates, it's a pad that you could drive all year round. It's a very stable pad across a large temperature range. But the knock on this pad, its Achilles heel is its dust output. All right. So we have been working on a formulation that is a ceramic friction. It's not designed for the track. This is going to be for dedicated street use. So if you are a track owner, I do suggest sticking with the factory semi-metallic pad. However, if this is a dedicated street car, you live here in the Midwest like me, and I'm driving this car primarily over freezing temperatures, as I'm not going to go below freezing, then I prefer the ceramic friction. Ceramics have super low dust output. You're going to cut the dust by probably 80%, 75 to 80%. From our testing, we've been making this friction for a lot of different pad shapes for different cars over the years, and you're going to cut by about 75 to 80%. So you're going to get 2 to 3 times the lifespan of your factory semi-metallic pad. So it's going to help your wallet. Your wallet's going to go a little bit further. They're very gentle on the rotor, so they're going to extend the life of your rotor. So you're going to get longer pads, longer rotors, and you're going to get ultra low brake dust, and they are silent. So I cannot recommend these enough. We sell thousands of sets a year around the world for lots and lots of platforms. So if you're hunting for a dedicated streetcar pad, you will not find better. This pad is also a GG rated pad as well. So you're going to get the exact same cold and hot friction coefficient. So you're going to get track-like bite. You're not going to step down in performance. You're going to maintain the same level of stopping power, but you're going to be able to do that without the dust and the noise. Okay, let's move on to the rotors, because I think this is also a very exciting. This is the factory rotor off of my personal. I've got a 2023 Z06. We're actually fixing to install these here in just a few minutes. These are the prototype rotors. But I want to just do a quick overview. This is actually my first time seeing it. They brought this in. But let's look at the design of the rotor. This is a two-piece rotor with a floating hat. The reason that Chevy went to a two-piece rotor is for weight reduction. Building this out of one-piece cast would have been cheaper for sure, but you would have added probably 4 to 5 pounds per corner of weight from the hat. So they have gone to this two-piece construction. One thing I did find interesting, and I think I know why they did it, I think they did it for weight reasons, but they chose to use a pillar vane. So if you look, these are not directional rotors, these are vertical vanes, or what we call a pillar vane. And typically in a performance application, this is pretty rare. The only other platform I've seen this on is coincidentally Cadillac, another GM product. The CT5e Blackwing uses a pillar in the front, but then has directional vanes in the rear. Still trying to figure that out. So anyway, this particular rotor is a pillar vane rotor. Great, it's fine for the street. It's a little bit lighter than building a directional rotor typically. So maybe they were balancing weight, I'm not sure. However, you do lose some of the cooling effects of having a directional vane. So if it's a dedicated track car, you'd be better off moving to a directional vane design. But for the street, pillar's fine. So anyway, two-piece rotor. Now, the hats are designed to last for the life of the car. And there's a lot of expense into manufacturing the center hat. In the aftermarket, we do it usually out of 77.5 T6 aluminum. But there's a lot of cost right here in the hat and then the bobbins. This is called bobbins hardware. There's a lot of cost in this. So this can be reused for the life of the car. So really the only thing that wears is the rotor, all right? So what we wanted to do was for cost savings to reuse the hat, reuse the bobbins hardware, and simply swap the rings out. Very cost-effective way of doing this, and so that is what we have done, all right? So let's throw this guy on the scale. This has been, it's got about 36,000 miles on it. So we're at 23.55 pounds, 23.55 pounds. Okay, that's about 36,000 miles of wear. Let's take a look at the wear on this, and we'll see how we're coming. Now, this is a 34 millimeter rotor. They're 370 millimeter in the front, and they're 380 millimeter in the rear on this car. And let's take a look. So we're gonna grab a caliper. Let's zero this guy out and see where we're at on this particular rotor. You want to measure in a couple places. So we're 34, a little over 34 here, 33.9, 33.8. So I suggest going around the 33.7, and this is normal. They're going to measure 33.8. So basically what you want to do is walk around the rotor, find the thinnest spot. When you get down to around 32 millimeter, that is your max wear. You don't want to go beyond. So when you hit 32 millimeter, you want to change these rotors out. So these rotors have a little bit more life in them. We're obviously doing a test fit. One of the reasons I was going to change them out is, I don't know if you can see this groove, but some sort of pebble or rock has got in between the pad and the rotor, and it's got a pretty good divot here. So we're going to change them out regardless, but that's how you measure them. If you get to 32 millimeter, you want to change them out, because if you go beyond 32 millimeter, they will start to crack. And another thing that you'll find is the power of the pads will drop significantly. So you actually start to lose friction coefficient when you go beyond the max wear thickness. So, okay, moving on. So what we have done is we've moved to directional vane rotors. So this is actually going to be the front driver's side. Vanes point to the back, and they pull hot air away from the rotor on the track. So this is made out of a material called GG15HC. It's a high carbon material. If you want to nerd out, hit Google. You can read all about it. Basically, this material is designed for race use. Can you use it on the street? Absolutely. Is it a little overkill? Yeah, it is. It's a very high carbon material designed for track use. It's extremely durable. You're going to get even more life out of this material than you will out of the factory material that they use. So this particular product also has something called Geomet 360 coating. It looks kind of like a powder coat. You can look visually at the difference between these two rotors. And Geomet 360 is actually for the vanes, and it prevents that nasty orange oxidation, rust, corrosion buildup on the vanes. So all of our rotors come with Geomet coating. It's called Geomet 360. It's made by a company called Hoff in Germany, and we do this on all of our rotor products. So our rotors are going to come slotted. So it's going to be a slotted rotor, directional vanes, Geomet coated, and it's also quite light. We'll put it on the scale. You're at 20 pounds. 20 pounds without the hat and bobbins. So we'll get a weight here, all fully assembled, but we've already done it. We've already tested it, and we're a little bit lighter than the factory rotor. So you're going to cut a little bit of rolling mass, and you're going to have the benefit of moving to a directional vane. So rears have done. We test fit the rears. We put the video out about a week ago, I guess it was, and now we're going to test fit the fronts today. Last but not least, I want to show you this. A lot of people, the bobbins can be reused, but this hat and nut, a lot of people like to change out, and we actually offer these in titanium, and it just looks so nice. So you can clean up your hats while you've got them apart, get all the brake dust off of them, clean them up, and then you can actually change out your nut and bolt with titanium. It's a really nice, pretty aesthetic mod. Titanium will outlast the life of the car. This is a Fuji nut style, so it actually locks in. If you don't have a Fuji nut, if you have this style, you want to use like blue Loctite. Make sure you use blue Loctite on the factory style nut, and Brembo actually uses blue Loctite on them from the factory, so you don't want to go back in with that. But we do have aftermarket bobbins hardware. We have the aftermarket titanium nut and bolt if you want to change those out. The bobbins don't need to be changed out. Sometimes they get scratched over the years, you know, and people want just for aesthetics, but I'm just telling you they'll outlast the life of the car. We've been changing out the hats and reusing the bobbins for 15 years in GTR. I've done thousands of sets. We're the #1 seller in that platform, and it works great. So this is a really cost-effective way to maintain the car. So I would keep your hats, just change the rings out, guys. You're going to save a whole lot of money in doing that. And then again, if you're looking for a low brake dust output car and you want to keep everything looking nice and not having to detail it quite as much, ceramic pad's really the way to go. See ya.